Ask the average American what they know about Mormons, and two things usually rise to the top. 1. They are nice, clean-cut people who don't drink coffee. And 2. Polygamy. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has spent the last 130 years fighting a relentless public relations war to distance itself from the practice of plural marriage. If you ask a missionary today, "Are you guys polygamists?" they will give you a firm, honest, and practiced answer, "No." They will tell you that the church officially banned the practice in 1890. They will tell you that any member caught practicing polygamy today is immediately excommunicated. They will point to the fundamentalist groups, like the FLDS, as the ones who kept the practice, while the mainstream church moved on to become the champion of the nuclear, monogamous family. Case closed. Monogamy won. But if you dig a little deeper into the theologies, specifically the theology of the temple and the afterlife, you find a much more complicated and, frankly, much stranger reality. What if I told you that while the church stopped practicing polygamy on earth, it never actually stopped believing in it for heaven? What if I told you that the current prophet and president of the church, Russell M. Nelson, is, according to his own theology, a polygamist? And what if I told you that the scripture commanding polygamy doctrine and covenants, section 132's, still in the Mormon canon, unrepealed, and is still defined as the new and everlasting covenant required for godhood? Today, we are looking at the ghost of eternal polygamy. We are going to explore the mathematics of Mormon heaven to answer the question, is polygamy actually dead? Or is it just waiting? To understand the modern situation, we have to look at how polygamy ended. It didn't end because of a theological revelation saying polygamy is wrong. It ended because of the United States government. In the late 19th century, the US government declared war on Mormon polygamy. They passed laws seizing church property and jailing leaders. The church was on the brink of total destruction. So, in 1890, the church president, Wilford Woodruff, issued a document known as the Manifesto. It is a fascinating legal document. It declares that the church is no longer teaching polygamy and advises members to refrain from any marriage forbidden by the law of the land. But notice what it doesn't say. It doesn't say polygamy is sinful. It doesn't say the previous revelation, section 132, was false. It doesn't say God changed his mind about the eternal ideal of marriage. It was a policy change dictated by political necessity. The practice stopped, but the theology remained frozen in amber. The principle was still true, it was just paused. This brings us to the core of Mormon worship, the temple. In Mormon theology, marriages performed in the temple are not until death do us part. They are sealed for time and all eternity. If you are sealed, you are married forever. This creates a logistical problem. What happens if a spouse dies? Scenario A. The widower. Let's look at the current president of the church, Russell M. Nelson. He married his first wife, Donsel, in the temple. They were sealed for eternity. She passed away in 2005. In 2006, he married his second wife, Wendy. They were also sealed in the temple for eternity. According to LDS theology, the first sealing was not broken by death. Donsel is still his wife. But the second sealing is also valid. Wendy is also his wife. Therefore, in the resurrection, President Nelson will be married to both Donsel and Wendy. He is a serial polygamist on earth, but a simultaneous polygamist in heaven. This is not a unique case. Another senior apostle, Dallin H. Oaks, is in the exact same situation. Thousands of Mormon men are currently sealed to multiple women. Scenario B. the widow now. Let's flip it. What happens if a woman gets married in the temple and her husband dies? Can she get sealed to a second husband? Until extremely recently, the answer was a hard no. A woman could only be sealed to one man. If she remarried, she could be married for time only, civilly, but in the afterlife, she belonged to the first husband. This asymmetry reveals the underlying theological architecture. The system is built for polygyny. It is not built for polyandry. The ghost of polygamy is built into the software of the temple. The smoking gun for this theology is found in the LDS Scriptural Canon, Doctrine and Covenants, section 132. This is the revelation Joseph Smith received or wrote in 1843 to justify his practice of plural marriage. It is an intense, fiery, and demanding text. In it, God declares, "All those who have this law revealed unto them must obey the same, and if they abide not that covenant, then are the damned. For no one can reject this covenant and be permitted to enter into my glory." And what is the covenant? The text explicitly links the new and everlasting covenant to the practice of plural marriage. It states that if a man espouses 10 virgins, he cannot commit adultery, for they belong to him, and they are given unto him. Therefore is he justified. This section has never been removed from the Mormon canon. It has never been edited to say this no longer applies. Every Mormon carries this text in their quad. This creates a massive cognitive dissonance. On Sundays, they preach monogamy. In their scriptures, they read a commandment that says you must accept polygamy to be exalted, become a god. Modern apologetics try to soften this. They argue that the new and everlasting covenant refers only to eternal marriage generally, not necessarily plural marriage. They argue God commands monogamy sometimes and polygamy sometimes, Jacob 2:30. But the text of section 132 is stubborn. It presents plurality not as an exception, but as the higher law of the priesthood. So, does this matter? If they aren't doing it now, who cares? It matters profoundly to the women of the church. In recent years, Mormon feminist writers have documented the deep, existential anxiety this doctrine causes. Imagine being a second wife. You know that in the afterlife, you will have to share your husband with his first wife. You are signing up for eternal polygamy. Or imagine being a first wife. You die. You watch from heaven as your husband remarries and gets sealed to someone else. You realize your eternal exclusivity is gone. This creates a distinct religious trauma. Many Mormon women live with a low-level dread that in the celestial kingdom, the place that is supposed to be the fullness of joy, they will be forced into a polygamous arrangement they detest, simply because it's God's law. It also shapes the view of God. If God is a polygamist, and if Heavenly Mother is just one of many wives, then the eternal destiny of a woman is fundamentally different, arguably lesser than that of a man. So, does the new and everlasting covenant of polygamy still exist? Technically, structurally, and scripturally, yes, it is currently in suspension on earth, but it is fully active in the theology of heaven. This brings us to the final debate. On one side, many believers argue, we don't understand the after. We shouldn't worry about the math. God is just and loving. Eternal polygamy might just be a way of ensuring that everyone gets sealed into the human family. It's about inclusion, not sex. Maybe our earthly jealousy won't exist there. We just trust God. On the other side, the critical view. Critics argue, this is not a mystery. It's a remnant of 19th century patriarchy. The church can't let go of polygamy because Joseph Smith tied it so tightly to the concept of exaltation. To reject polygamy fully would be to admit Joseph was wrong about the nature of God and heaven. So, they keep the toxic theology while pretending to be monogamous, leaving women to carry the emotional burden of an unequal eternity. Is polygamy in heaven a divine mystery of love or a theological nightmare? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this deep dive into the hidden doctrines of American religion fascinating, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content that uncovers the real stories behind our beliefs. Thanks for watching.